and I had some random games come in today. And this was like a really strange shocker to me because I sold my entire collection. And after I sell my entire collection is when I get these strictly limited games that came in. And I ordered these games so long ago that like I honestly totally forgot that these were going to be coming to me. And so I'm more than likely going to wind up selling these as well. Either that or I may just give these away on the channel. But these were just a couple of games that I just totally forgot about. And that's the issue that you run into sometimes when you order from what's going on, Easy? What's going on, Charles? How you guys doing? But that's what kind of happens sometimes when you order from Strictly Limited. What's going on, Jesse? When you order from Strictly Limited and Limited Run, sometimes it could take so damn long for them to send you the games that you just totally forget that you ordered them. And the other day I see this box in front of my house, and I'm like, Strictly Limited. I'm like, I didn't order anything from Strictly Limited, but sure enough, they sent me some stuff. So let's see what they sent me. They sent me Desotopia, and I don't even know what this is. But yeah, so they sent me this. I'm pretty sure this is some type of side-scrolling game because if I ordered it, it's probably a side scroller. And this is looks like a big box special edition for the Switch, so I'm definitely not keeping this. Um, Not sure what I'm gonna do with this, but this is probably gonna either be a giveaway or I'm gonna sell this. Um, I may keep one of these. So this is Infinite Beyond the Mind. This is actually a side-scrolling platform game that I didn't realize I ordered. So I ordered two copies. These games are actually numbered. So I guess there's only 1,500 of these made. Wow, did not realize that they only made 1,500 of these. So I got copy number 1203 and I got copy number 346. So I'm obviously not going to need both of these. So one of these will probably be, again, a giveaway or I'll sell it. But I'll probably just keep one of these because I still have my daughter's Switch. So I guess I could keep one for her. This is a very basic side scrolling platformer though, but only 1,500 of these made. Did not realize that when I ordered this. So, but I don't think there's really much special about this game. And this all came in one package as well. So, last thing in the package was for PlayStation 4, Steel Empire Chronicles. So, I'm pretty sure this is a shoot 'em up, if I'm not mistaken. And I think this one numbered too? I don't think this one is numbered. I think this is just a strictly limited release, but I don't think it's like a limited release or anything like that. So, they did send me this as well. So, just completely shocked, guys. Completely shocked. I did not expect these to come in. I think it's hilarious again that they came in after I sold my collection. So I don't even have a PlayStation 4 to play this on. I'm not going to open that for sure. And I'll probably keep one of the copies of these. In true strictly limited fashion, of course, they sent the little postcard deals. So you've got the little strictly limited postcards. Do you guys keep these when you get them? Like, do you guys keep these? 'Cause I don't keep these. Like, even when I was collecting for the Switch, I still never kept these. So, these will go along with it. They sent me these like little, I don't know if this, yeah, more postcards. I mean, I guess these are cool. I mean, Strictly Limited and Limited Run, they both do these like little postcard deals, and then they got the little pause. This is actually pretty cool. I might keep this one. I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna get rid of these. Sunset, what's going on? You just picked up Resident Evil 3 for GameCube? Nice. Where'd you get that from? Skur, yeah, I may sell them as a bundle. I really have no real use for them at all, except for one of these for the Switch. But then again, like I did go back and watch some of the gameplay, and I was like, I don't even really know if I want to keep this for the Switch. I might trade. I might use them as trade bait and use them to pick up some Switch stuff. I still haven't even picked up a copy of Terminator 2D. Scott, what's going on? Yeah, I'm just showing everyone these random Switch and PlayStation 4 games that showed up on my doorstep. I probably ordered these games like a year ago, and Strictly Limited takes so damn long to send a game that I just forgot that they were coming. Yeah, yeah. I totally forgot that they were coming, and then they show up at my doorstep, and it's like, okay, well, I guess now I have some games again. I'm not restarting the collection, that's for sure. And actually, it's almost weird to see these games in the game room when after selling the collection because they're like the only video games in here. um Terminator physical copies have been selling out. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that. So I wasn't sure what the price was because I thought Terminator 2D was only like 29.99, but everywhere I'm seeing it selling for like 60, like 59.99. So I don't know what the deal is with that. Like if people are just upping the price or what's going on with that. Is it that good? I mean, I'm seeing a lot of like people talk about it like it's a really good game. So I may just have to download it, man. I may just have to download it on the Switch. It just got Fantasy Star Online for GameCube in a trade. I had no idea that game was that expensive. I heard it has four-player local. Should be a good game to play at the Firehouse. Nice. There's two versions of Fantasy Star. One of them isn't for the GameCube. One of them isn't super expensive. I think it's probably like in the 60 to 70 range. And then there's the other one that is like really expensive. I think that one has like some added extras or something like that. So you sounds like you got the more expensive one. Bitmap Bureau does make a good game. Yeah, I mean, look, I'll check one of these out. Um, and try to get my hands on Terminator 2D. Have you guys played Terminator 2D? I'm also really just trying to wait for Marvel Cosmic Invasion too. Like that's the other one. That's the other one that I'm really trying to get my hands on because that one looks amazing. That's another like side-scrolling beat 'em up game that looks pretty dang amazing. I'm trying to get my hands on that. I don't know if you guys have played that one. I've seen people like do like little demos and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't know how many have actually played it. But yeah, I've been getting a lot of questions and comments from people asking me like, why did I sell? A lot of people have been asking if I think like the retro game market is gonna tank in 2026. Do they I think a lot of people are nervous that like and not collectors who play their games, right? I'm talking about like collectors who collect for value. I think a lot of them are really nervous that their collections are going to lose a lot of value in 2026. I feel like a lot of them are getting like scared because of how many people have sold their collections off. And I don't think that anyone should be scared or worried about like the value of their collection dropping just because other people are selling their collections off. People sell their collections off all the time. It's nothing new. So, um, I don't think we're going to see any major drop in values or prices for video games next year. I think video games are going to stay pretty expensive. So I don't think anyone has anything to worry about there, but um, you have those two. Funko collectors will be offloading their collection. You talking about the Funko Pops? Yeah, I thought Funko Pops died a long time ago, man. Funko Pops seemed like the thing to collect like in 2019, 2018. But I feel like once the video game scene got really hot, like I feel like a lot of people just dropped Funko Pops altogether. I know Amiibos were really big for a while. Like everyone was on the whole Amiibo thing, and then people jumped off the Amiibo train. They were done collecting the Amiibos. Um, and I mean, I guess like if video games follow that trend, I mean, we could see a dip. I think you could see a dip in prices, but that's just good for collectors. That just means if you're a collector, get ready to buy games on discount. You know, get ready to get a bunch of really cool games for the cheap. especially if you're going for like Genesis games, like Super Nintendo games, like some of the more rare stuff, you're gonna be able to get a lot of that stuff for cheap prices. So if you're in collecting mode right now, you should be excited because 2026 you're gonna have a lot of bargains, a lot of deals. But if you're like holding your collection as if it's like some type of like stock, some type of growth stock that you're hoping will grow in value, nah, man, sell those games and actually go buy some actual real games. I will say this though. One of the things that I will say that I noticed, and this is something that I hadn't seen for the first half of the year, but I started to see it more so in the second half of the year, is I'm seeing like uncommon games kind of sit on the shelf at GameStop. I'm seeing more like rare stuff that normally would go flying off the shelf at GameStop. I'm starting to see more of that stuff like actually sit. Like I've been at GameStop and I've seen like a bunch of GameCube games that I know like would have normally just sold off like really fast because you had like a lot of flippers going in there. I've been seeing those games sit on the shelf for weeks, like weeks. I've seen retro stuff, Super Nintendo games, N64 games. I'm seeing them just sit at GameStop. And in some ways, I'm like, okay, this is a good thing because I know GameStop at one point was trying to match all of their retro stuff to like equal eBay. But if they notice that their stuff is starting to sit, hopefully they start to drop those prices again. And my hopes are that, you know, eventually when, prices really like start to bottom out, GameStop actually becomes a place where you can get some real deals again. You said GameStop is eventually going under for sure. You're the second person to say that. I've heard someone say that GameStop their revenues aren't doing too good. I wonder what the reseller scene is like. I wonder how good resellers are doing because from what I understand, a lot of resellers are just destroying Whatnot. And I've never been to a Whatnot show. Like I've never joined a Whatnot live show. Well, actually, no, that's a lie. I've actually been to one of Pick and Preacher's Whatnot shows. Which, speaking of Pick and Preacher, where is the Pick and Preacher? I haven't seen that guy in a while. I haven't seen him drop a video in quite some time. I don't know. I don't know where that dude is at. But yeah, I last he was I think the last person that I saw do a Whatnot. Um, but it didn't really seem it didn't really seem popping. Facts, Whatnot is cool. That I noticed thrift stores are slashing video game prices that don't move. It seems resellers are getting out. I hope thrift stores will go back to the old days of $1 to $2 video games. I hope so too. I hope so too. Yeah, like Chase and like Phoenix Resell and like Retro Rick. I don't know. Like I feel like those guys are trying to find new revenue streams. Maybe not so much Chase because I know that he's always done um Chase sells more. He's always sold more than just video games. He sold like Pokemon cards. He'll sell anything. He'll sell you a CPAP machine. He'll sell you some dentures. He'll sell you wheel locks. That guy, the guy will sell you anything. He'll sell you some avocados. Listen, Chase will flip anything, bro. That dude will flip anything. Imagine if he was a drug dealer. But anyway, um, yeah, Chase is he's just a when I see him, I think pawn shop. Just I'll sell you anything. Retro Rick, he's gone from like the videos, the YouTube stuff to like owning his own store, and now he's graduated to the I have my own convention level. So, and I don't know how much a convention, like, I don't know how much money that puts in his pocket at the end of the day. But I would have to assume that it's worth it to some degree. It's a lot of visibility, it's free publicity for his store, his brand. So overall, it's got to be good. But he's on another level. And then like Phoenix, I can't see Phoenix Resale doing a convention. He just doesn't strike me as being social enough to do that. Like I don't. He's just not a sociable guy, so I don't really see him having the social uh aptitude to do it. Retro Rick has he's designed for that. He can do that. Some of those other guys can, but I don't see Phoenix doing that. Doesn't mean he's not diversifying his revenue streams though. He's still doing his, he's got his Amazon, he does his eBay, he's got his store, he's doing YouTube. So all these guys have like 4 to 5 different revenue streams that they're kind of milking right now, but just, have video games like peaked, like at the reseller level, have they peaked? In fact, I asked the guy that I sold my collection to, I said, "Hey, so what do you do when there's just no more collections to buy?" Because eventually you got to run out. Like, I mean, people can only sell the same games back and forth to each other for so long before it just becomes an absolute waste of time. So, like, what do you do when there's no more collections to buy? And that was when he kind of just said that he'll just like pivot. He would just have to pivot into something else. Um, he changed his name to Keith Courage. Oh yeah, that's right. Pickin' Preacher is now Keith Courage. I forgot. Now I'm seeing Retro Rick, Retro Wolf going after non-video game accessories that hardly anyone look. Some going after display pieces for their store. Yeah, I mean they're going after like the niche, like the little kind of random stuff. Um, want those infinite games because of the covers. That's funny. BZ says Y2K. Have you ever seen the PlayStation Ain't Dead podcast on YouTube? YouTube, I love their show. It's awesome. Yeah, I actually watched that show. I think the guy, the PlayStation Ain't Dead dude, one of the times I was on there, he kind of said that he would like to have me on there. I've watched their show. They're pretty funny. They have these cool little segments. I like their little segments. They've got some good insights. I think Radical Reggie's a part of that. So he's always coming with some new game stuff, and I think they have a pretty cool podcast. I check them out for sure. They're pretty good. Um, just Dave, yo, what's going on, man? How you doing? Video Freak. I stopped watching him after he made that collection to give away to a friend. Are you talking about who you talking about? Video Freak. You talking about Phoenix? Or you talking about PlayStation and Dead? Who you talking about? Scare Heck and Steve was there. Oh yeah, Heck and Steve was there. I've seen, yeah, Heck and Steve. I think they had Heck and Steve as a guest on there before as well. Um yeah, like I watch Heck and Steve. I watch PlayStation Ain't Dead. Who else? Um but like I said, even the content is slowing up, man. The content, like a lot of the content is slowing up. You know, I think, you can only talk about retro games for so much. You can only make but so many videos on the same game. The only thing that changes is your unique story to the game. I mean, if you just make a video reviewing a retro game that's been reviewed 1,000 times, no one, like, I don't think anyone really cares. What they care about is your connection to the game, though. They do care about like how it impacted you and your childhood stories and stuff like that. So, like for me, I mean, I don't think I've ever told this story on my channel, but I remember back in like the early 90s, I would say maybe 1991 or 2, and I think this is one of the reasons why like Mortal Kombat, the first one, I remember the first Mortal Kombat. It's always stuck with me cuz I had a cousin that got shot about like 41 times. He lived. Um he got shot a lot of times, and I remember going out to visit him. This is in New York City. This is back in the 90s, and for those of you who know, um like, the 90s in New York was bad. I mean, the 90s in America were bad. I mean, if you lived in any major city in the 90s, it was bad, right? Like from Detroit to Cali to New York to St. Louis to Miami. Like if you were in any major city, especially during like the crack epidemic and stuff like that, like if you were alive in that time and if you were like a teenager in the late 80s, like early 90s, those are some of the like the most dangerous times. Like I know like we jump on YouTube and you see a lot of the stuff that's going down in Chicago, and you hear about the gang stuff. But believe it or not, the 90s, as bad as things have been, the 90s were like 3 times worse than whatever. Think of like the worst city in America right now. The 90s was at least 3 times worse. You wanna know why the 90s was 3 times worse? The late 80s and 90s were 3 times worse? First of all, you didn't have nearly as many cameras as you do now. So dudes were getting away with all types of stuff. I mean, drive-bys were a common thing because there was no cameras. Nobody had a cell phone camera. There was no witnesses. There was none of that. You know what I mean? There wasn't none of that going on. Anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole. Mortal Kombat. Back to Mortal Kombat. The reason why Mortal Kombat sticks out to me is because I had a cousin. He got shot like a bunch of times, and I remember we went to go visit him, and this was a Thanksgiving. I remember we went to. I had family that lived in Brooklyn, New York, so he was from Brooklyn. And where were they at? I think they were in either Bed-Stuy or Flatbush. I think they were in Flatbush back in the 90s. And I remember I used to love going to my aunt's house. Well, both my aunt's houses, because in my house I had foreign parents. You know what I mean? My parents were foreigners, and they were the types of parents who didn't believe in having anything fun. They believed in reading books and going to school and getting good grades. My father's idea of a good movie was sitting us down and making us watch Schindler's List or National Geographic or documentaries on, World War II. Like that was that was the type of pops I had. So video games was like blasphemy in my house. Like you couldn't even like ask for it. But both of my aunts, they did have video games. So both of my cousins on both sides, they both had a Sega Genesis. None of my cousins ever had Super Nintendo. None of them. They all had Sega Genesis. So I just always associated Sega with the hood for some reason. Like it was just a hood console to me. Like I don't know. Maybe it was just me, but it just always I felt like the Sega was like a hood console. Like dudes in the hood played Sega. Like people like just square people played Nintendo. That was just how I felt as a kid. And even though those weren't my conscious thoughts, that's just what I associated the consoles to be. So anyway, we go to my aunt's house in Brooklyn, and we would have to sneak in the room because the Sega was in my older cousin's room. So we sneak in there. Me and my other cousin, we snuck in there and we started playing Mortal Kombat. We're like we're going in, and we're getting like excited, because I'm like using Liu Kang, and I'm doing the little like fire blast move, and he's got Sub Zero, and we're like going in, and then we start jumping on the bed, and I didn't even, and this is how I found out my cousin got shot because we thought like the room was pitch black. The only light in the room was coming off the TV with the Sega, and this is like the early '90s, so we're playing this on maybe like a 14 square inch like CRT TV, like something real old school, throwback. And we're playing it and we're getting hype, and it's Thanksgiving. So, all the adults are out, they're drinking, you got the reggae going, everybody's dancing, Buju Banton and Beanie Man and all, it's Thanksgiving in Brooklyn, yo. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you know, you know. And we're jumping on the bed, and out of nowhere, all you hear is, "Yo, stop jumping on the fucking bed." And that was when we didn't I didn't even know he was in the room. And sure enough, he was in the room, and he had to lay, like he was laying there, he had to lay still. And my aunt came in and she would like dress his wounds, and I don't know, that just stuck with me from like it was at that point playing Mortal Kombat that I realized, oh snap, my cousin's like laying in the bed with holes in him. I don't know why that story hits home. That story always comes to my mind around the holidays because it's we would go to Brooklyn for either Christmas or Thanksgiving, throwback. And anyway, I just share that story because I think that's the stuff that people care about. Like they don't like everybody knows about Mortal Kombat, you know what I mean? But like what were you doing when Mortal Kombat first came out in the 90s? Like, what memories do you have associated with Mortal Kombat? Well, for me, Mortal Kombat, I associate that with the hood and Brooklyn and my cousin getting shot a bunch of times. Like, that's what comes to my mind. And not the best memory, but it is what it is. You can't help what you associate things with, especially as a child. Um, so anyway, I think that I think like, that's the kind of stuff that will push the content forward because I don't really know, what else is going to do it. We've gotten so many reviews on video games that I think people probably are just looking for something to connect it to. And if you guys haven't seen, I put out like a mini trailer for a short film that I'm working on that I'm going to try to release before the end of the year. It's called The Last Continue. It's just really going to kind of talk about like it's just a short film about my journey collecting video games and leading up to the point where I sold everything in my collection off this year and what I plan to do moving forward. So be on the lookout for that. Just Dave says, I haven't collected any retro, man, just been dealing with IRL stuff. I'm assuming IRL means in real life stuff. That's what I think IRL means. And if that's what you're saying, I'm right there with you, man. I've got so much stuff happening in real life that I just knew I wouldn't have time to play games. Like there's just so much going on in real life between family and kids and everything in between. I was like, I'm gonna have to pause this hobby and come back to it. And it's hard because when you really enjoy something, you don't want to like put a pause on it. It almost feels like you're breaking up with someone and you're like, listen, hopefully we could get back together in the future. But that's kind of like what it feels like. BZ says, to be honest, the only video game channels I follow closely is Y2K, Legally Insane Gamer, and PlayStation Ain't Dead. Legally Insane Gamer is funny. That's another guy. He's funny. Yo, that dude is funny. I'm legally insane. I think that's the guy, right? I think that is that the guy? I think that's the guy. He's pretty funny. But he's like hardcore about like video game values and stuff, and he has like his predictions about retro games. He looks at prices like he's on it. Like he's really on that prices stuff. So if you want someone who's tracking the video game market and is on top of prices and price trends and stuff like that, I would say check out Legally Insane Gamer. You know who used to do a really good job of analyzing that? Um there was this dude, he used to have a channel. His name was Super Nintendo, and he would have a video series called Retronomics, and he would break down just basically price charting trends. He did that a lot during the pandemic. He would do like a lot of those types of videos, and I used to watch him. And I thought he had some really good breakdowns of like price trends and stuff like that. But what's funny is that he actually sold off everything too. Like that Super Nintendo dude wound up selling everything off like years ago. I want to say maybe 2022, 2023. It was like he kind of just saw the light and just started traveling, I think, with his wife and just traveling, just living life, like exploring life. And I just remember thinking, bro, that's what's up. That's what's up. And it doesn't mean that he doesn't like video games. It didn't mean he didn't like his collection. He was just like, man, I want to go do something else. Because like, yeah, you can go to conventions and you can do all this stuff. And if you're trying to be a YouTuber and you want to like make this your full-time gig, yeah, you could buy into it and build a following and do all that. But some dudes just want to go live life, man. Like some dudes just want to go really live it and experience it. Um You see, bruh, you're giving me whiplash. What we doing here? Because I'm showing you these games. Yeah, these were games that came in out of nowhere. I didn't even remember I ordered these games. These games were like I ordered these games like a year ago from Strictly Limited. Completely forgot about it. Sold off my whole collection, and then like out of the blue, ding dong, here there goes my doorbell, and I've got like four new games for the Switch. It's like I couldn't quit collecting if I tried. It's crazy. The Dark when what is it? The Dark something King is here. I bet Just Dave says you sold your whole collection, bro. I sold my whole collection, bro. It's gone. It's all gone. Every last game gone. Even the repros gone. Even the fake games are gone. The fake Hagane is gone. My 110 games on one cart is gone. They're all gone. Every single thing. He is Canadian. I think you're talking about Super Nintendo, I think is who you're talking about. Um, he says legally insane gamer always jokes about blowing his balls off with his huge fake pistol. Jokes about wearing adult diapers. Yeah, nah, he's funny. He's a pretty funny dude. Skirt says, I listen to Reserved Investment. He is the best since he knows the resale and investment in pop culture and collectibles. Yeah, I watched that dude too. Reserved Investments. I didn't watch a lot of him. I watched like a little bit of his Legally Insane Gamers Canadian. Okay. So I watched Reserved Investments. You know when the peak, when the peak was, in my opinion, of the whole retro collecting thing. I feel like the peak happened when Carl Jobst, I don't know if you guys remember this, but Carl Jobst did a video that blew up. That video went viral. I think it got like millions of views. And it was when he outed Heritage Auctions and WADA grading. And he basically put the whole grading game community like on blast and just talked about how it was rigged. And I feel like that was the summer of 2021. I think that was the summer of 2021. I want to say that was probably like maybe August of 2021. And the only reason why I remember it so clearly is because I was in Honolulu when that video came out. And I was driving from Waikiki Beach over to Pearl Harbor. I was on that freeway, that main freeway. For those, if you've ever been to Oahu, you'll know what I'm talking about. There's like a main freeway that takes you into like the mainland on Hawaii, and you like kind of have to drive through this mainland, and then you get to like the other side of the island and where Pearl Harbor is. And I remember during that drive, I had I had my lady, we had our daughter. They were in the back and they fell asleep, and I needed something to keep me awake, so I put on Carl Jobst. And I remembered watching his video about that whole like heritage auction scandal. And I was just like, yo, this is bogus. In my mind, I remembered thinking like, yeah, this is gonna pop. Like this isn't gonna last. And of course the retro game market never burst. Like it wasn't a bubble that popped. But I felt like from that summer on, for a lot of games, like that was like the peak and things just started to decline. Like once 2022 came, it was like a gradual fade off because like 2022 came, the restrictions started to let up. You could start doing more stuff. It wasn't as things weren't as strict. And I remember then 2022 came and we went to Puerto Rico, and it was still kind of like, it was, you could still kind of feel the effects of COVID because San Juan wasn't as busy as we remembered it being the last time we were there, but people were getting outside again. And then like once we got back from San Juan and 2023 came, then it was like people could actually be outside and do stuff again. And that was when things just started to like kind of fade. People kind of started going back outside, and I feel like that was when things started to really kind of mellow out. And then, so that was 2023. Then 2024 was, it was, I felt like 2024 was like full blown. Everybody's back outside doing things again, traveling, like the world was kind of back to normal. And then this year has just been a full year of normal life, 2025. Like I feel like all the remnants, like all the moratoriums started to expire. You had to start paying your student loans again. You had to start paying your mortgage again. Rent came back. Life came back, and it smacked a lot of people really hard. And what's worse, what's happening now is all of the extra hiring that was done. Now a lot of companies are laying off all of those extra hires. So now we're like going into this recession, like this recessionary period. And I don't know, I don't know how many of you have seen what's been going on with the jobs report, but I think unemployment is up to like 4.6%, which is like really high. They're saying that's like the highest number since like 2022. So we're definitely going into a recession, bro. Like we're heading into a recession, and I just when you factor all that stuff in, there's definitely going to be a drop off. Maybe not in the interest of retro video games, but for sure people like with the means to buy them is going to drop off. The Dark One says, I've been watching you for like a year, I think. I was really surprised that you sold off your entire collection. Yeah, man. Yeah. I did. I mean, what can I say? I did. It was time to let it go. Um, Just Day says, sheesh, hey man, props to you. I've been debating about it myself the past year. I'm just holding on to it for nostalgia reasons. Same here. Same here. I think I was holding on to a lot of those video games because of the nostalgia factor. It for real. Like the nostalgia factor was real. Like that story that I just told you guys about like Mortal Kombat and my cousin getting shot like 40 times. Like memories like that, like those memories are vivid, you know what I mean? So when I hold a copy of Mortal Kombat, it's almost like you're transported back to like 1991, 92 in Brooklyn, New York, you know, at the height of like, peak crack epidemic, gang era, Bloods, first get becoming really prevalent. For those of you who know or don't know, the Bloods became really prevalent in New York in like 92. Out here, it wasn't really like a blood and a crip thing. It was more like a Latin King blood type thing. It was a little different on the East Coast. And I was never in a gang, but I lived in heavily gang infested neighborhoods. So like, even though I wasn't in one, I had a lot of friends at that time who one of the biggest things that they would do back then is if you wore red, they would cut you from your ear to your mouth, from your earlobe to your. So they would like they would just catch your whole. For those of you who aren't familiar with New York slang, it was called giving you a buck 50. They would give you a buck 50 across your face. So they'd either cut you from your eye to your mouth or from your ear to your mouth. Um, and that was happening a lot. It was all over the news. It was part of initiations. And, when you're growing up in that type of an environment, sometimes the safest thing to do is go upstairs and play Sega Genesis. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to the park. I mean, don't get me wrong, you're gonna go play basketball on the court, but like for the most part, you're gonna be inside. You're gonna be playing video games if you're not about that life. I guess if you're about that life, you were outside getting active. But I wasn't about that life. Like I said, I had parents who were foreigners, so you're gonna keep you inside. They want you doing your studies, and so video games for me, that's what they were. It was like a safe space, a safe go to. It was something you could indulge in without feeling guilty. It's like a guilty, I guess an unguilty pleasure. I don't know. And so when 9/11 happened, not 9/11, sorry, when COVID happened, rather, we're all indoors. You kind of want to find things to give you that those feels. And there were a lot of things happening that I just didn't get into during the pandemic. Like the whole thing that got really big on YouTube. I never really watched that, like that whole versus series. There were documentaries and stuff that I didn't really get into. Like The Last Dance came out during COVID. I didn't watch The Last Dance, like with Michael Jordan. I didn't really watch that. I didn't watch it until like way later. Stranger Things was like huge during that time. I didn't watch Stranger Things until like last year was when I first started watching it. I was like, damn, where was I when this was going on? Like, there was just so much stuff that was going on that I just wasn't paying attention to because I really got lost in video games. I just would go downstairs in the basement and just turn on the PlayStation, like PlayStation 1, and just start playing Ray Storm or Ray Crisis or Hyper Duel or Mars Matrix or um, Lords of Thunder or you know, Sega, something. It would be something, man. It'd be something. But then, now we're out of that. Now we're out of that and real life is upon us. And so, as much as I would love to indulge in that the way I did back then, I can't. I can't. I can't. I've got other things to do. And I got to handle some business right now. And once once I handle that business, maybe I'll get back to it. But right now, I got business to handle. Let's see. I feel like since the fact physical media is dying plays a big part for me. That is a big part. Like there is something to having physical media. I mean, it's listen, it's great. It's great. One of the biggest things that a lot of people would say, during like the whole height of the physical collecting thing is like, physical's dying. We're not gonna have access to physical for a long time. We need to get it now and collect it and hang on to it because but you know what? I think I have some time. Like I don't think a rocket's gonna come in and blow up all the physical video games like next year or in 3 years or even in 5 years. I think I have time. Like I think I have time to get the stuff back that I really want. And that was the other thing. I had some stuff that I just didn't need. Like I really had some like I had crap I didn't need, bro. Like the only real systems that I would want to get back is a Sega CDX, but the next time I get it, it will be complete in box. A Sega CDX, a Sega Dreamcast, of course, a Sega Saturn. Those three systems are a must. Um, I'd probably get a NES top loader again. I'd probably get a SNES Junior again, and I'd get a backwards compatible PlayStation 3. And I'd probably get an Xbox 360. As far as handhelds go, I think I'd probably just get another analog pocket. I'd get probably a 3DS. Yeah, I think I'd be okay with an analog pocket, a 3DS XL. As far as the handhelds go, I'd probably get a PSP again. Um, I think that's it. As far as the consoles go, I'd probably get a handful of Sega CD games. Like maybe I'm right off the top of my head, I could think about 12 that I'd get. Another 12 Sega Saturn games that I'd get. And like a handful of Dreamcast games and stuff like that that I'd get. That's probably it. I don't need like a ton because I know the stuff that I really like and I would play. But yeah. Manuel Danas says, I think you have plenty of time to get your collection back, but aiming for the Saturn 32X, that'll be expensive and difficult just because they didn't sell so well. Yeah, I mean, but that's why I wouldn't have a large collection, right? Like I would probably create a budget and just save to get a complete in box Sega CDX because I think complete in box I've been seeing those go for like anywhere between 1200 and 1500 for those consoles, like 12 to 1500. But the Sega CDX is beautiful because you can play Sega Genesis games on it and Sega CD games on it. So that eliminates the need for a Sega Genesis, and it has a very small form factor. I love that. It's really small. It's like a CD player. So that's why I really like that one. And then the Dreamcast is also kind of small. The Saturn is a little bulky. Yeah, that one's a little bit bulky. But yeah, everything else like, and then the probably the most bulky is the backwards compatible PlayStation 3. But with that, I could play my PS1, 2, and 3 games, so I'd be good there. Like I know exactly how I'd rebuild my collection today if I had to start over. So when I do go back and rebuild it, and of course I'll take you guys along when I do. Um, I think it'll be good. But I think if I rebuild my collection this time, I'm gonna try to do it all organically. I wouldn't try to do any eBay. I try to find all my games, even if it means going on a road trip, driving cross country, jumping on a plane. I'd like to do it that way for sure. But man, what amount of rambling. I've been going on 45 minutes. This is supposed to be a 15-minute live here. I just wanted to show you guys these games that came in after I sold my collection. Sold my whole collection, and then Strictly Limited said, "All right, now that you sold your collection, now we're gonna send your games to you." I'm almost positive I have like maybe three or four more outstanding orders between Limited Run, Strictly Limited, Pixel Heart, First Press Games. There's probably companies that owe me games all over the place from orders that I placed like 3 years ago. So we'll see what happens there. But that does it for me. Hopefully, you guys enjoy the rest of your night and your week. I'll catch you in the next one. It's the Y2K